Hello everyone, Thor here. Just want to talk about the new Until Dawn rumors slash dark pictures. There's been some information that came out on 4chan. Who knows if it'll really come out because, who knows how reliable that is, but it sounds kind of cool if they do it. And I have a few thoughts on really this new version of Until Dawn's coming to current gen consoles, PS5, Series X, as well as PC. I'd probably play it on PC. Dark Pictures I've been playing with my sister Desire from time to time, and it's been a really good time. Definitely check that out. Thor Effect Gaming on Twitch, or see some highlights on YouTube. But let's get into it. This will have the shared story mode, which is a lot of fun. When we played the Dark Pictures, it definitely made the game more entertaining when we could. We were on Discord together, so we're kind of talking back and forth with what we're seeing. Like Man of Medan, you're like fighting each other. It kind of spoils it, but we had a blast doing it. It was a really, really good time. Some of my best streams, actually, so in this past year. Some things might change. This is going to be canon to the Dark Pictures universe, so who knows what changes they're going to make. The format's going to be different. That's a little bit farther on. But even all of the actors are supposed to come back, which is great. You want to keep them the same because I think Until Dawn came out in 2015. It's a really great game. Unexpected. It's originally supposed to be a PlayStation Move title for the PS3, and then they put it on the PS4 as a full game. So glad they did because it's one of the best horror experiences I've ever played through. This is a little bit of a spoiler, so skip this part. Skip like 10 seconds if you don't want to hear this. But apparently Josh pretends to be a killer and then turns out to be a giant prank to get back at everyone. You find that out halfway through the game. Well, now apparently there's an actual killer, which would be an interesting twist because Until Dawn, I really like the whole thing because it kind of takes a lot of different horror elements, but I really enjoy this when it's like you're running from a slasher. It's really well done. I have some thoughts on that I'm going to get into at the end of this. Apparently the Wendigos will have more screen time, so you'll see them more. So you'll have a killer and the Wendigos to deal with, which is interesting. And that kind of makes sense though, because like if you're doing the shared story, one player is dealing with the Wendigo problem, one player is dealing with the serial killer, and they all come together for a final conclusion, which I think is great. And there's more branching paths, which I think is a good route to go, especially if you do a shared story, just because you can go so many different directions, give it more options, more replayability. Would definitely be a good addition to the game. They also said more screen time for characters such as Matt and Jessica, which makes sense because if it's shared story, they should get some more time in the limelight. And for another reason, which they get into down farther, and I'll expand on it there. They're saying there's more deaths, new ending, which you think there would have to be because I feel like it's not so much, it's a remake rather than a remaster, so I think they've learned a lot doing Dark Pictures, and I still think Until Dawn's the best one they did, but I really think they can take some good things they've done, in Little Hope and House of Ash and put them towards a new one. That'd be a great experience, and this would be a great addition. And I'd love to play through it with my sister. It'd be, or anyone else, it's a great experience. I love B-horror movies, and it's just like sitting on a couch with some popcorn, a couple beers, and just enjoying them. Apparently, a lot more characters can die earlier, with more opportunity for people to go down. Because I assume this would have to be like about a 8-9 hour game like the original. That's the only way that makes sense. And there won't be any plot armor for the two main characters because they really can't die till the very end. So I think that makes sense, especially if you're doing the shared story because there's a lot in there, a lot of moving parts, and it can go different ways depending on who's there, who's alive, and with the branching paths. I'm sure it'll get really interesting. They go on to say some details about changes in plot, which kind of makes this a little more believable, but who knows? I mean, it's a 4chan post. We'll just have to see. I hope it's true, though. Apparently for the Dark Pictures, and I believe the idea is for Until Dawn to be a part of Season 2. Season 2 is going to end in 2024. And they're going to announce 2 more seasons, which is great. I have a blast with all these games, so keep them coming. They also say the next Dark Pictures, Devil and Me, is coming out in October, and that makes sense. They kind of release twice a year, and October is definitely when they usually have one for Halloween. So And this sounds like a good one. It's this one's supposed to be kind of Saw related, which I think could be really good because in Until Dawn, when he's got them in the traps and with the gun and the saw blades, it was some of the best parts of the game. It's a lot of fun. And it just goes on to say that they plan to do 2 games per year, which is what they've been doing. It makes sense. But expanding on it, what I'd love to see them do, besides Dark Pictures, I'd love them to get like some of the horror icons. Like, I would love for them to do a Halloween game. Like, just do like, you play through a Halloween trilogy, you know, make Laurie Strode in it if you want, however you want to do it. But make it like a trilogy of movies and you're just playing through the whole thing. Even if you release in 3 parts, you know, so it's got a full, so you're not waiting for 3 movies that you can just play right through and it all come together really well. And I think that'd be really cool. Also, I'd love to see them do Scream. I think Scream would be fantastic for them to do. I'd prefer, as a fan, I'm a huge John Carpenter fan, I'd love to see Halloween, but I really think they could do a really good job, like a whodunit game with Scream. Because, you know, before they did Hidden Agenda, they could incorporate that, like one person could play as a killer. That'd be kind of cool. You know, kind of like a la Heavy Rain. That'd be a really, really cool idea, I think. The 5th game in Dark Pictures is called Winterfold, and I think that's supposed to release in 2023. As will game Directive 820, which released the same year. Those are the next couple chapters they're coming out with. Winterfold is apparently about a mold virus that breaks out, kind of like The Last of Us. Really interesting idea. I mean, it's great in The Last of Us. I'd love to see what they can do. It's kind of like a small family just trying to survive during the outbreak. It's a, you know, good twist in the zombie thing. I think it's a good way to go. I love the lore behind The Last of Us and how different those zombies were and how the world adapted to it. So I'd love to see what they... And Directive 820 is about a group of European space explorers that stumble onto, I think, a Russian base or something. And there's a rogue VI. Kind of reminds me of the rogue VI from Mass Effect. I just played through Mass Effect and I can't remember the name of that mission. Overlord. Project Overlord, I think it's called. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's called Overlord. So a lot of cool, scary things you can do. Because I remember in Mass Effect, that thing is just screaming at you while you're trying to. Now, I know there's a lot of problems with that whole... Not to get into it, but, you know, BioWare could have handled the whole thing better. But, you know, it was also years ago that came out. So things are different now. But, yeah, I would really like to see what... is it Supermassive Games? I think it's Supermassive Games. If not, I'll cut this out. I'd love to see what they can come up with and, you know, with their own twist on that, and also over a full, you know, 5-6 hour game. Doing another VR title. They did one for PS4 VR. I own it. I've yet to play it because I need to get a PlayStation VR system. They're doing a collective card game, which, you know, Inscription did a card game horror game. So it's going to be an exciting couple years for them, and I hope there's some truth to this, and I would love a remake of Until Dawn and just to see what they go with it. But until next time, Thor out.